Welcome back to another video, Jets fans. And in this video, we're going to be making our 53-man roster prediction. There are some notable cuts I have the Jets making, like Carter Warren, Jeremy Ruckert, Malachi Corley, Xavier Gipson, JBC, and Derek Nottie. Maybe the Jets can try and trade one of the guys for a late-round draft pick like Malachi Corley, but most likely they're all gone. So let's get right into it. So first up, the offense. So I have the Jets keeping 3 QBs. I think they keep Fields and Tyrod. I think it's pretty obvious, but I also believe they keep Brady Cook. I think it's pretty obvious about the first two, like I mentioned, but I've heard that Brady Cook has been pretty impressive during training camp, and he played really well against the Packers. I don't think they don't want to lose him, and he'd be QB3. So I think keeping 3 QBs would make some sense. Next up are the running backs, and I have the Jets keeping 4. I have them keeping Breece, Braylon, Isaiah Davis, and Donovan Edwards. A lot of people are saying the Jets are unlikely to keep Edwards, as why would they have 4 running backs? But he's been pretty impressive, and it would make sense to keep him. Has good vision, has some good speed, and most importantly, he's a great blocker. And if we are going to be a run-heavy offense, then it would make sense to keep him. Maybe try my kick returner and release Nwangu, or hope he can return to the practice squad. We also don't know the future of Breece, as he's unlikely to get an extension here with the Jets, so it would make sense to keep Edwards as the 4th. Next up are the wide receivers, and I have the Jets keeping 7. I have the Jets keeping Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, Alan Lazard, Jamal Pritchett, and Quentin Skinner. The first 3 are pretty likely to make the roster, and then it gets questionable. Both Lazard and Johnson make the roster as depth pieces, as they are also great run blockers. Tyler Johnson is a solid, reliable target, so it makes sense to keep him as well. But in this case, we keep 2 undrafted free agents. We both keep Quentin Skinner and Jamal Pritchett. This is kind of funny because it seems similar to a couple years ago when they kept both Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gipson. I think Pritchett would be that gadget guy and special teams player, preferably punt returner, maybe kick returner, I don't know. Quentin Skinner would also make a lot of sense to keep, as he's 6'5" and provides some serious height. Also is a great deep threat who has great speed and is a great contested catcher, who we do need. So it would make sense to keep either him or Brandon Smith, but I have the Jets keeping 7 wide receivers. Next up are the fullbacks / tight ends, and I have the Jets keeping 3. It's Mason Taylor, Stone Smart, and Andrew Beck. I think this is pretty likely going to happen, so I won't go too much into depth. Lastly, the O-line, and I have the Jets keeping 8. It's going to be Olu, Simpson, Tippmann, ABT, and Membu as the starters. And for the depth, I have them keeping Chukwuma Okorafor, Xavier Newland, and Josh Myers. I have them bringing back Max Mitchell to the practice squad. I think this makes sense, so I also won't go too far into depth with it. So now for the defense. For the D-line, I have them keeping 10 guys. So for the edges, I have them keeping Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Rashad Weaver, Tyler Barron, Michael Clemens, and Eric Watts. And then for the interior defensive linemen, I have them keeping Quinnen Byron Coward, Leonard Taylor, and Jay Tufele. I have them keeping 10 just because some of these guys are very versatile and can play anywhere on the D-line. We also have JJ coming back from an Achilles injury, so he won't play much to start the year. And we would have depth in. I think this makes sense. I believe we'd have a pretty solid D-line too, and we actually would have solid depth as well. So I have the Jets keeping 10 defensive linemen. For the linebackers, I have them keeping 5. I have them keeping Quincy Sherwood, Francisco Magoa, Jamin Davids, and McCrary Ball. A lot of this is for special teams and depth at linebacker, as Quincy and Sherwood are the starters, so I think this also makes sense, so I also won't go too deep. For corners, I have them keeping 6. I have them keeping Sauce Stevens, A.Z. Thomas, and Qantas Stiggers. In this slot, we'd have Michael Carter and Jordan Clark, who's an undrafted free agent. AZ would most likely be a key depth piece for now. It could be a future starter. Stiggers will also be a backup, but most likely would be a gunner on special teams. Clark would be the same, but he could also play safety, so I do think they keep 6 corners, and this will be the 6th they keep. For safeties, I have them keeping 4. I have Andre Cisco, Malachi Moore, Isaiah Oliver, and Tony Adams. I think Oliver would mainly just be a versatile depth piece who plays slot corner, safety, special teams. I think the other 3 make sense for now, but the only questionable one could be Tony Adams. I think it's either his or Jerry Monroe's spot. Adams is dealing with an injury, so the spot is still in the air. We'll see what happens, though, but I still see them keeping Tony Adams, and Monroe goes to the practice squad. Lastly, for special teams, the kicker would be Nick Folk, the punter is Austin McNamara, and the long snapper is Thomas Hennessy. The kick returner would be Donovan Edwards and Jamal Pritchett, and the punt returner would also be Pritchett, who I mentioned before. So let me know what you think of this video. What are your thoughts on my 53-man roster prediction? Thanks so much for watching, and go Jets!